What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Jon Jones' next UFC fight revealed. UFC heavyweight champion Jon Jones has revealed some interesting news about his return to the octagon following an extended injury layoff. Jones last appeared at UFC 285 in March of 2023, when he won the title by submitting Ciryl Gane in the very first round. He was scheduled to face Stipe Miocic at UFC 295 in November, but pulled out of the fight after tearing his pectoral tendon and requiring surgery. Instead, the UFC paired Tom Aspinall and Sergey Pavlovich for the interim title, and Aspinall knocked out the Russian in little over a minute to lift the belt. Aspinall pleaded publicly for the opportunity to face Jones in a unification fight, but both Jones and the UFC have remained committed to the original plan of facing former champion Stipe Miocic once Jones is ready to return to action. It seems that day is drawing closer after Jones revealed how a date announcement is imminent for his return to the octagon. Responding to a fan on X who asked when Jones would be back, Jones responded, "I have a date. I'll let bossman Dana announce that." When pressed by another fan to reveal the date, he replied, "Nope, as right now, it's just a verbal agreement." No opponent has been revealed, although the most likely man to stand across the cage from Jones will be Miocic. Last week, Jones asked fans on social media for their opinion on who he should fight next after Stipe, and seemed to be trying to make the case for a fight with Alex Pereira instead of Tom Aspinall. Speaking of Pereira, Alex Pereira challenges Anthony Smith for $50K. Light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira has come out guns blazing after UFC analyst and fellow 205-pound fighter Anthony Lionheart Smith called him one-dimensional and criticized his grappling skills. The current light heavyweight champion and former middleweight champ has challenged Smith to a grappling match at the UFC Performance Institute with $50,000 on the line before he makes his next defense of his UFC belt later this year. During an interview in Brazil with ConnectCast, which has now been dubbed into English, Poatan issued his challenge to Smith with some interesting stipulations.
I make a bet with Anthony Smith, I let him take my back, put the hooks in, and give him 5 minutes to finish me. We can bet. Like he said, I'd win a $50K bonus. He said it was a sure thing. So if he sees me saying this here, I want him to accept. He takes my back, sees that my arm was trapped. No, he has to finish.
Incomplete, your 50K penalty.
He pays the 50 bills. Then I allow him to take my back, put the hooks, right? Both of us sitting there, right?
Game on.
So here we go. All right. I'll have 5 minutes to get up and stand, you know? If I get up in 1 minute or 4 minutes, no matter. I stood up, he lost, he pays 50K, got it? If he finishes me, okay?
The fight is confirmed. He is going to reach the destination. Anthony Smith, you and Alex Poatan at the Performance Institute, valued at $50,000.
After submitting Vitor Petrino in the very first round of his bout at UFC 301 in Rio de Janeiro, Smith responded to Pereira during the post-fight press conference.
What do you say? Like if Alex Pereira said he would put up 50K.
Yeah, it's like rules.
But I could start on his back.
Yeah.
I could start on his back, hooks in,
and have 5 minutes.
I got 5 minutes to finish him, and he wants to put 50K up for it.
Yeah.
I'll take his 50K.
Yeah.
I'll take his money.
Yeah. How do you finish him?
If I start on his back, I'll choke. 100%.
The win over Petrino was the 16th submission win of Smith's career. He has taken out a variety of light heavyweight contenders in the UFC by way of rear naked choke, such as Alexander Gustafsson, Volkan Oezdemir, and Ryan Spann. Pereira, a former Glory 2-weight world kickboxing champion, has only had 12 professional MMA fights in comparison to Smith's 57, but was recently awarded his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt by his coach Glover Teixeira after his knockout win over Jamal Hill in the main event at UFC 300. Also this week, Sean O'Malley releases sparring footage. In the lead up to UFC 301 in Brazil, UFC flyweight champion Alexandre Pantoja brought up the name of his bantamweight counterpart Sean O'Malley and made reference to a previous behind-closed-doors sparring session, as he seemed to be actively campaigning for a shot at double champ status. The cannibal claimed he had got the better of Sugar, but both O'Malley and his coach Tim Welsh have fired back, insisting it was O'Malley who came out on top. Now, in the wake of Pantoja's successful title defense against Steve Erceg in Rio, O'Malley has released a snippet of the footage of the pair sparring on his YouTube channel and highlighted a moment when he took the Brazilian down.
Alright boys, I don't like releasing sparring footage, but Pantoja just can't keep my name out of his mouth. I didn't even bring it up initially. Pantoja brought it up. I don't know why he brought it up. I literally finished him in the first round with a liver kick. He literally called it off in the first round. So for him to talk about sparring, it's wild. I'm not going to show the finish because that's just mean, but I will show you guys this. Fucking little 2 to the lips, took him down, was easy. Congratulations, buddy.
While the flyweight champion's eyes are locked on O'Malley, it seems that the 135-pound champion has bigger fish to fry. Number one contender, Dvalishvili, appeared on UFC India and dropped the bombshell that he will be finally stepping into the octagon to face O'Malley at UFC 306 in September at the Sphere.
Yes.
Wow. September at the Sphere. That's a big event. That's a big event.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. This is breaking news, absolutely breaking news.
O'Malley was quick to pump the brakes on his claim, however, and posted a pic on social media with the caption, "Merab at the Sphere is not targeted as far as I know. I've been pushing for that, but UFC hasn't said anything." Dvalishvili has taken out 3 former UFC champions in his last 3 fights, in Jose Aldo, Peter Yan, and Henry Cejudo. O'Malley's last appearance inside the octagon came at UFC 299 in March, when he successfully defended his title with a dominant decision victory over Marlon Chito Vera. Next up, UFC updates. 2 exciting newcomers to the light heavyweight division have been booked to fight each other in their respective UFC debuts next month. The unbeaten Frenchman Umar Sy will take on Brazil's Antonio Malvado Tricoli at UFC Vegas 92 in the Apex on May 18th. Sy has won all 9 of his bouts since turning professional back in 2019, with 7 of those victories coming by way of stoppage. He was originally slated to fight Dana White's Contender Series alumni Rodolfo Bellato, who fell out injured, giving Tricoli an opportunity. The 6'5" Brazilian comes in on a 3-fight winning streak and carries a substantial submission threat, so this fight should be one to watch. UFC welterweight legend, the immortal Matt Brown, announced his retirement via post on social media over the weekend. The 43-year-old welterweight came into the UFC after featuring on Season 7 of The Ultimate Fighter back in 2008 and was most recently seen in action in May of 2023 when he knocked out Court McGee in the first round of their bout. He tweeted, "Not doing it again. I'm out. That's the announcement. My life will now be dedicated to serving others, growing others in the martial arts, and building businesses that can help the community and the world." Brown has been in the octagon with some big names over the years and finishes his run in the UFC with 17 wins and 13 defeats. UFC commentator Jon Anik has overtaken Mike Goldberg for the most appearances in the play-by-play role in UFC history after he called the action at UFC 301 in Brazil this past weekend. The announcement was met with a lot of positivity among fans and media alike. SureDog's Jay Petrie tweeted, "Ahead of UFC 301, I want to say a belated congratulations to Jon Anik for setting the new record for the most UFC fights called on play-by-play, just shy of 2,800 after tonight." Aaron Bronstetter also tweeted his appreciation. Announced off the top of the UFC 301 broadcast, Jon Anik today will break the record for the most UFC events called in UFC history. Anik is absolutely tremendous at what he does and should be very proud of his great accolade. Fans should be grateful for his grace and mastery. Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Holloway for BMF belt? Alexander Volkanovski says he would be down to fight newly crowned BMF champion Max Holloway for a 4th time, now that the Hawaiian has a belt to bring to the table. Volkanovski won the UFC featherweight title when he beat Holloway by decision at UFC 245 back in December 2019. The rematch at UFC 251 7 months later also went the Australian's way, although this time it was by way of split decision, with many fans feeling Holloway should have had his hand raised. After Volkanovski successfully defended the title twice more, the pair met again at UFC 276 in 2022. Alexander the Great left no doubt in anyone's minds this time, as he dominated the fight and won a clear decision. After a couple of unsuccessful attempts at dethroning lightweight champion Islam Makhachev, Volkanovski lost his 145-pound belt to Ilia Topuria earlier this year. Although Volkanovski and Holloway are both in the mix to fight Topuria for the title next, Volk made an appearance on Main Event TV this week and insisted he would be open to the idea of facing Blessed yet again.
Would you fight him a 4th time?
Would I fight him? I mean, now that he's got a BMF, we might have to do this, you know what I mean? Like, we'll see what happens.
At 145 or 155? 155.
Yeah, 155. You may as well. You're going to have to, right?
Anyway.
But I mean, that like, again, I was always sitting there, like, how could you do it? But maybe there is that something there that could mean, you know, there's a BMF now. Maybe that could, like, for me, it's like 3 and 0. How can you get yourself out of bed for that? A BMF is something that I haven't touched before, so maybe we can do that, you know? So we'll see what happens.
Next, let's take a look at Chito Vera calls out Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo finds himself in an interesting position after winning his comeback fight at UFC 301. The King of Rio put on an impressive display to win by decision against surging prospect Jonathan Martinez, his first outing since he retired from mixed martial arts after losing to Merab Dvalishvili back in 2022. The fight was the final one on Aldo's UFC contract, and he now finds himself as one of the hottest free agents in the world of combat sports. Although many promotions will surely be taking a keen interest, the former UFC featherweight champion insists he wants to sit down and discuss terms with UFC President Dana White. Speaking in Portuguese at the post-fight press conference, Aldo said, "I always have to sit with the UFC, because in the contract there's this, isn't it? The UFC can match any offer that pops up, so calm down. I think first, we have to sit with Dana. We have to see what is the best path we can take." Prior to his loss to Dvalishvili, Aldo was on an impressive winning streak in the UFC's bantamweight division, and didn't discount the idea that he could sneak back into the title picture. "That's what my manager says. I can skip line, I can get in there, because when we left, we were very well ranked." One fight that could launch him into a title shot could be a rematch with Marlon Vera. Chito called for the fight directly after UFC 301 as he tweeted, "Let's run it back, Aldo." Aldo beat Vera by decision back in December 2020, and given that Vera most recently challenged Sean O'Malley for the 135-pound title in March, another victory over the Ecuadorian would surely do wonders for Aldo's claims to the bantamweight throne. Dana White jeopardizes new deal with Netflix. Dana appeared on Netflix's first live event in the roast of Tom Brady. When it came time for Dana to make jokes, he was pissed off that Netflix only gave him a 60-second time slot. Here's what Dana had to say.
Actually, let me get into this real quick. It pisses me off. I flew all the way out here, and you guys give me 60 seconds? My name is Dana. Is that not trans enough for you liberal? No? All right.
After Dana White announced that the UFC could be in talks with other streaming companies besides ESPN, fans speculated that it could be Netflix. Dana addressed this at a press conference.
"I think that Netflix should have gotten into live sports years ago. They're late to the game, but they are a force. I can watch it when I get home. I can watch it next week. Right? Live sports like this event tonight, you had to watch tonight. As all these massive streaming companies start to get bigger and bigger, they have to be involved in live sports."
Safe to say you'll be talking to them when your TV deal comes up?
I'm sure we'll be talking to everybody.
With Dana being at Netflix's first live event, it's possible that this was strategically planned out for the UFC. And obviously, Dana was upset at the little bit of showtime he was given. Did Dana ruin his chances with the deal being secured between the UFC and Netflix? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Top comments. Jamal Hill is like a randomly generated character. No one gives a shit. Jamal Hill does more talking than actually fighting. LMFAO, he got knocked the F out. The UFC can thank Ian Gary for a lot of fans using a free service when he's on the card. I'll just donate directly to the fighters I want to support on that card. F Ian Gary. Colby Covington is 100% scared of Ian. All talk, no walk. He's scared he will get handled again like the Leon fight.